New York, 1949, two aircraft prepared to cross the Atlantic. From one runway, a Lockheed Constellation, its three tails sweeping back like a bird in flight. Its fuselage, a graceful curve, Hughes called the most beautiful thing ever built. From another, a Boeing Stratocruiser, a double-deck behemoth with a spiral staircase leading to a cocktail lounge where Frank Sinatra might be mixing martinis. These weren't just airplanes. They were flying embodiments of national pride, corporate ambition, and a world recovering from war. For one brief decade, before jets made them obsolete, these propeller giants fought the most glamorous battle in aviation history. This is the story of the Constellation and Stratocruiser, the last and greatest propeller airliners. Historical positioning. After World War II, aviation faced a unique moment. Military production had ended, but thousands of trained pilots and engineers needed work. Meanwhile, the public, having seen global conflict now, wanted to see the world in peace. Airlines needed aircraft that could cross oceans in comfort, carrying the wealthy tourists and business travelers who would rebuild international commerce. The stage was set for two American giants Lockheed and Boeing to turn war technology into peacetime luxury. The Constellation Hughes' dream, the Constellation began as a secret project in 1939. Lockheed's chief designer, Kelly Johnson, who would later create the U-2 and SR-71, was approached by eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes, who controlled TWA. Hughes wanted an aircraft that could cross America non-stop with a full payload, something no existing plane could do. The design was revolutionary. The Constellation's distinctive triple tail allowed it to fit in existing hangars while providing stability. Its fuselage had a graceful, dolphin-like curve that reduced drag. Most importantly, it had four of the most powerful piston engines ever built. Wright R-3350 duplex cyclones, each producing 2,200 horsepower. But the war intervened. The first Constellations were drafted as military transports, designated C-69. They served so well that General Hop Arnold called them the airplane that won the war. After 1945, Lockheed converted them back to civilian use. When TWA launched Constellation service in 1945, it cut New York-Paris travel time from 17 hours to under 14. Suddenly, the world felt smaller. The Stratocruiser Boeing's, double-decker Boeing's response came from an unlikely source. The B-29 Trippe Fortress, the bomber that ended World War II, Boeing's engineers realized they could turn the world's most advanced bomber into the world's most luxurious airliner. The result was the Model 377 Stratocruiser. The Stratocruiser's party trick was its double-deck cabin. A spiral staircase near the front led to a lower-deck lounge, officially called the patio lounge but known to passengers as the honeymoon suite or the devil's den, depending on who you asked. This wasn't just a barrette. Had plush seats, a piano on some aircraft, and stewardesses who doubled as bartenders. But the luxury came with complexity. The Stratocruiser used the same troublesome Wright R-3350 engines as the Constellation, but with a more complex pressurized cabin system. It also featured the first commercial use of reversible pitch propellers, allowing it to back away from gates, a trick that amazed passengers but stressed engines. Pan American World Airways, Boeing's launch customer, marketed the Stratocruiser as the height of luxury. Their 1949 brochure promised, "You'll enjoy more room to move about than in any other land or air conveyance." For $4,500, about $50,000 today. You could fly round-trip to Europe in a private sleeping compartment. The passenger experience flying on these aircraft wasn't transportation, it was an event. Let's step aboard a typical 1952 transatlantic flight. First-class passengers arrived at the airport in suits and evening gowns. They checked in at mahogany desks, then waited in airline-owned lounges with original art on the walls. On board the Constellation, the cabin felt like a rolling club car. Seats were wide armchairs with ashtrays built into the armrests. Meals were 7-course affairs: caviar, lobster, thermidor, filet mignon, all served on china with real silver. The colony was particularly popular with celebrities. Elizabeth Taylor, Humphrey Bogart, and Ernest Hemingway all flew regularly on TWA's Constellations. The Stratocruiser offered something different: socialization. The lower lounge became the place to see and be seen. On overnight flights, passengers would change into pajamas provided by the airline, then descend to the lounge for nightcaps. British Overseas Airways Corporation (BOC) even offered separate men's and women's dressing rooms. One passenger wrote, "It felt less like flying and more like attending the most exclusive party in the world when that happened to be moving at 300 miles per hour." The technical battle and dark side. Beneath the glamour, both aircraft shared a fatal flaw: the Wright R-3350 engine, nicknamed the time bomb by mechanics. These engines had a terrifying habit of catching fire. The problem was so common that pilots developed a grim joke. Why do constellations have four engines? Because they couldn't fit five. You always need one more than you have. The statistics were sobering. Between 1946 and 1960, Constellations experienced 139 loss accidents, killing 1,590 people. Stratocruisers fared slightly better, but still had a troubling safety record. The worst was the 1955 crash of a Sabena Constellation in Italy, killing all 29 on board, including the entire Marcel Cerdan boxing team. The engines weren't the only problem. Pressurization systems, still new technology, could fail catastrophically. In 1957, a Pan Am Stratocruiser lost its entire tail section over the Pacific, when miraculously pilots managed to land the crippled aircraft with only minor injuries. Airlines knew the risks, but downplayed them. One internal memo read, "We cannot let mechanical concerns interfere with the passenger experience." It was a dangerous philosophy that would only change with the coming of jets. The airline wars, Tuavi's Pan Am. The aircraft battle reflected a larger corporate war between two aviation titans, TWA's Howard Hughes and Pan Am's Juan Trippe. Hughes was emotionally invested in the Constellation. He'd helped design it, and TWA was the launch customer. He personally test flew early models, setting speed records to generate publicity. Trippe was more pragmatic. He saw the Stratocruiser as a stepping stone to his real goal: global domination. While Hughes obsessed over the Constellation's beauty, Trippe was already planning for jets. He used the Stratocruiser to establish Pan Am as the luxury brand, then abandoned it when something better came along. The competition played out in marketing. TWA ads emphasized the Constellation's speed and reliability. Pan Am ads focused on the Stratocruiser's luxury. The only way to cross the Atlantic is in your own private compartment. Both airlines employed Hollywood stars as spokespeople. Both offered absurd luxury stois. Once flew a live elephant in a Constellation's cargo hold for a circus promotion. But by the mid-1950s, both men could see the future. The de Havilland Comet had flown in 1952. Boeing was developing the 707. The propeller age was ending, and with it, the reign of these beautiful, flawed giants. The jet age arrives twilight of the props. The first blow came in 1958, when Pan Am introduced Boeing 707 service across the Atlantic. The 707 cut travel time from 14 hours to 7. More importantly, it was safer and more reliable. Passengers initially resisted jets, were noisy and unfamiliar, but the economics were undeniable. Airlines faced a painful choice: invest millions in new jets or keep maintaining aging propellers. Most chose jets. TWA retired its last Constellation in 1967. Pan Am's Stratocruisers were gone by. 1,960, some found second lives with smaller airlines in South America and Africa. Others became freighters, their luxurious cabins ripped out to carry cargo. The transition wasn't smooth. Pilots who'd spent years mastering the complexities of piston engines struggled with jets' simplicity. Stewardesses accustomed to mixing cocktails found themselves serving reheated meals on plastic trays. The romance of air travel, the dressing up, the socializing, the sense of occasion began to fade. One retired Constellation pilot later wrote, "We weren't just flying airplanes, we were hosting parties, counseling nervous passengers, representing America abroad. When the jets came, we became system managers. The magic died with the props. Legacy, what they left behind." So what did these aircraft actually accomplish? First, they proved that international air travel could be comfortable and reliable. Before the Constellation and Stratocruiser, crossing an ocean meant days on a ship or hours in cramped, noisy aircraft. These planes made it an experience to enjoy. Second, they established the template for airline service. The 7-course meals, the personalized attention, the emphasis on passenger comfort. These weren't just luxuries, they were marketing tools that defined what air travel should be. Even today's first-class suites on Emirates and Singapore Airlines owe something to the Stratocruiser's lounge. Technologically, they pushed piston engines to their absolute limit. The Wright R-3350 represented the pinnacle of propeller technology, so complex, so powerful, and so troublesome that it essentially ended further development. After it, aviation turned to jets. Most importantly, they captured a specific moment in history: post-war optimism, American industrial confidence, and the belief that technology could create a better, more connected world. They flew during the last moment when air travel was rare enough to be special, yet common enough to change society. Few of these giants remain. One Constellation, owned by the Swiss Museum Group, still flies at airshows, its distinctive engine sound turning heads wherever it goes. A handful of Stratocruisers survive as museum pieces, their spiral staircases now roped off as historical artifacts. But their memory lives on in unexpected places. The Constellation's triple-tail design inspired the Lockheed Jetstar business jet. The Stratocruiser's double-deck concept would reappear in the 747's upper deck. Even their flaws taught lessons. The engine problems led to better maintenance tracking. The pressurization failures improved safety systems. Perhaps their greatest legacy is emotional. For those who flew on them, they represent a lost era of elegance. For those who worked on them, they represent engineering artistry. And for aviation enthusiasts, they represent the beautiful, imperfect peak of a technology that would soon be replaced. The Lockheed Constellation and Boeing Stratocruiser were more than airplanes. They were expressions of a world healing from war, dreaming of connection, and believing in progress. One brief decade, they ruled the skies not as the most efficient or safest aircraft, but as the most ambitious, the most beautiful, and the most human. They remind us that sometimes, in the pursuit of perfection, we create things so flawed and so magnificent that they become unforgettable. Even as these propeller giants filled the skies, a new revolution was that would make them obsolete almost overnight.